Hey, what's up? It's Pavi, and I'm back with my final newsletter for 2022. We are here with the December newsletter. Now, this newsletter is going to be a bit different than my normal ones because normally I have a lot of updates about a lot of different projects and domains, whether it be the Remind podcast, traveling, some random hack that I did over the month, but really, this month was a lot about execution. It was about finishing that voice-based biomarkers project. And for those of you who don't know, that's a project I've been working on for the past 3 months, all about how you can detect diseases through your voice. So in this video, I want to talk about what progress I actually made during December and what I hope to continue with the project and where I see it going, and also run you through a project memo I made regarding the project. So if you are interested, you can check it out and you know how to go through it. So let's hop right into this project update. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to get into why I wanted to work on this project and what the journey has been like over the past 3 months and the basis of what the project actually is, in case you missed any of the previous updates over the past few months. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm really obsessed with the problem of healthcare accessibility across developing countries, but also developed countries. And one thing I realized was that every single country has its own issue when it comes to their healthcare system. So the United States issue is different from an issue in Africa, different from an issue in Asia. And all of these countries have different problems. And trying to tackle them with one system is very difficult because there's not a one-size-fits-all solution. So after I understood that, I decided to tackle one common issue that I found was across all countries, which was early diagnosing, which is really just an issue in the medical field overall. And specifically, because I was diving deep into AI for 3 months, I thought, okay, best intersection possible. So obviously there's a lot of things with computer vision and a lot of different things that already have been done in this space. But an emerging field that really came into light during the pandemic was actually analyzing diseases or things like COVID-19 through your voice. So sometimes you'd be coughing, either you could be saying a sentence or just saying an acoustic tone like ah, and you'd be able to detect if someone has a certain disease. So although this is great and there's an emerging field, one problem in this space is that there's a lack of data. So there's very minimal data about people actually relating back diseases with your voice. But one area where there's a lot of data in this exact space are with cognitive diseases. So things like Parkinson's or Huntington's, which is what I made my project on. So essentially, you would analyze acoustic tones, something like ah, and because it's cognitive, that's how it relates back to the acoustics. So for a little context there, your brain connects to your articulatory functions. So things like your mouth, your lips, your tongue, all of those connect back to your brain. So when your brain is thinking about something, that's how all of these move, and that's how all the muscles work together. Now, when you have something like Parkinson's or Huntington's, which are affecting your brain, they also affect your muscles, and that's how you're able to tell really early on when there are speech deficits. That's how the speech essentially relates back to the diseases. So I looked into that a bit deeper and created my project on how you can analyze and detect Parkinson's and Huntington's through your voice. So they were a bit different projects, but ran along the same basis of extracting about 10 to 13 different features and then analyzing them on a spectrogram, which is just laying out a ton of frequencies on about one particular signal, and then analyzing it to see if it matches someone that is a healthy patient or someone that has the disease. So I looked really deep into it with neurodegenerative diseases, and I'm going to show you what my memo was basically like, so we're going to hop onto a Loom video. So we've switched to a Loom just to quickly explain what the project memo looks like. If you want to go through it, you can definitely check it out. And yeah, just want to go through it. It's mainly a breakdown about the project, but is more about my journey as opposed to exactly like the details about the AI behind the project. So this is just, the intro. If you need a refresher about who I am, here's a little refresher. And here I kind of get into the problem of healthcare accessibility and why I was so interested in it. So if you want to learn more, it's not really in a lot of my videos. So it's right displayed right here. So you can read that. And then here's kind of diving deeper into the problem and really what got me interested in the issue, which was hearing and watching this video from Vinod Kholsa about telemedicine, health moonshots, and everything like that. And that's what really got me interested in trying to find that intersection between, voice-based biomarkers and detecting diseases. So, after that, I, again, talk a little bit more about the problem and then talk about my journey about what has happened over the past 3 months. So, obviously I knew coding, but I didn't really work in the AI space. So in those 3 months, how did I actually come up in building this project? So a few learnings that I've had, and then talking about the fact that it wasn't a linear path. So it took a long time to actually get here. I had to build projects in between. I had to take breaks. I had to book a lot of calls with mentors. So everything about that, and then 3 main learnings. And then here's basically where I want to go. So it comes into the proposals about what I want to make for a few clinics and academia in the field, and possibly also create another baseline project regarding respiratory diseases and the flu, if I can find data on that, very, very scarcely. And then here's a little gallery about just some content I made over the past 3 months, whether it be related to the project. So here's basically, I made two videos, one regarding the code behind Parkinson's and the other about Huntington's. So click those links and you can check them out. And that's a lot deeper into the AI of it. And then you actually have an article, which is a two-part article explaining, again, the problem and more about the breakdown of the problem as opposed to my connection to it. And then also how I actually built out the Parkinson's and Huntington's codes. And then here are kind of prior things that I built prior to making this main project. So I built a contact tracing code for COVID-19 that you can, so essentially if you have one person that has COVID, how do you identify other people that might have been affected? And also an article about how I did that. And then I had a preliminary article, which is what got me into the entire space, about just called Hey Alexa, What's My Diagnosis? I'm very proud of that name. And essentially how voice assistants like Alexa or Siri can actually detect diseases if we can manipulate them correctly. And then here below is just a little bit about Web Summit because this was a huge role that expedited the entire process and the entire project. So I thought it was interesting to put that in there. So if you haven't seen them already, these are two talks that I did, or a panel, a talk, and then an article I wrote. So that's essentially the memo. More can be added to this, but this is the breakdown about what has happened in the past 3 months, what I've learned, the issue with it, and building out the code, problems I've had, and the content that came out of it. So if you want to check that out, I will link that in the description below. Alright, so after the Activate Mentor Showcase and meeting tons of people and talking to them, I realized that I do want to continue this project further because I think that it's a huge jump in non-invasive diagnosing. Like, to be honest, on the user side, all you need is a stable internet connection, a smartphone, and a proper audio sample that can be analyzed. Now, the one issue is that what's more prominent in developing countries is not really neurodegenerative diseases, but is really the detection of cardiovascular issues in something like the flu. So I decided, because I want to work in that space specifically, I want to be able to detect those two, or that group of issues, rather than Parkinson's or Huntington's. So because of that, I realized, again, there's a lack of data in this space. A lot of the data that you can receive are through things like a patient calling a doctor, which is telemedicine, or through different recordings of really anything. But the problem with that is that it's very unstructured data. It's very unlabeled. So it's difficult to even try to analyze that because it's a new and emerging field. So after that, I noticed that obviously I can't run my own clinical trial, and so the next step is possibly partnering up with anyone working in this field, researchers, academia, or clinics, to actually try and get them to get the data, and then I can work with them to build out the model or even help them get the data. So because of that, right now I'm in a winter break mode right now. So in the midst of the next 2 weeks, I want to create out some proposals to a few companies and clinics and academia working in the space to then see if I can partner up with them and we can find a cool intersection between the things that we do to then bring this to life with cardiovascular and flu issues and then implement it in developing countries. So it is a long jump and it is definitely a lot to do, but if you know anyone in this space or are even interested in this and want to partner up and think that it could be a cool intersection and you have some of the resources that we need to collect data, please let me know. And if you know anyone working in this space, again, let me know, because I'd love to talk to people. And also, all these proposals I'm writing out are very applicable to many different types of academia or companies. So if you're anyone that touches any of those spaces or are just interested in the field, let me know. I'd love to jam out and we can definitely set up some time to talk more. And before we end it off, I want to talk a little bit about the year that I've had because it's been so incredible, but also want to share my gratitude for all of you watching and everyone that has stuck by me over the past year or so. So, a little highlight reel on the year so far. I started off with building things and projects in nanotechnology. I got 3 internships. I got an internship at the University of Guelph, BioViva, which is a startup, and also Walmart Blue Labs. And then I got to pitch alongside my team to the CEO and president of Walmart Canada, alongside 500 plus execs during the year. And I even got to build a moonshot company with a few friends, then interned at Walmart Blue Labs, and then got to start Activate in TKS and built out the voice-based biomarker project. Went to Lisbon, Portugal with a few friends for a week to speak at Web Summit, which is the world's largest tech conference, and then presented at Mentor Showcase. And on top of that, just built tons of memories and met with a lot of people. So for any of you that have mentored me or stuck alongside me during this newsletter, or any friends watching this, thank you so much for making 2022 an incredible year, and I can't wait to see what happens in 2023. Happy holidays, happy new year, or pre-new year. Have an incredible year, and see you soon in 2023.